If I could describe acute hepatic porphyria in one word, it would be a thief. A thief who steals your ability to live life to the fullest, who takes away time spent with loved ones, who robs you of your freedoms. It's a devastating disease. Acute hepatic porphyria, or AHP, refers to a group of rare and genetic diseases. They are characterized by painful attacks, and some people experience debilitating symptoms between attacks. There are 4 types of AHP: acute intermittent porphyria, or AIP, variegate porphyria, or VP, hereditary coproporphyria, or HCP, and ALAD deficiency porphyria, or ADP. My name is Anya, and I'm living with AIP.
For years, I used to have this little private thing in the way I felt about HCP. I used to refer to the song, Good Morning Heartache, because there were many mornings I would wake up and I would just wish it was gone. I would wish it was a dream.
Eu adoro nadar e é porque quando eu tô na água, eu me sinto que eu sou igual a todo mundo. Lá eu não sinto que eu não consigo me locomover direito, eu não me vejo que o braço não funciona.
J'avoue que quand j'ai pas de crise, quand je suis bien, à chaque fois je me surprends parce que je me redécouvre une vitalité que j'ai perdue le temps de la crise. Alors que quand on me voit en crise, j'ai l'air d'une toute petite chose, toute fragile, qui est posée dans un coin, là, qui parle pas, qui fait rien. Il y a 2 mois.
I would describe myself when I'm healthy as energetic, I'm fun, I'm bubbly, I'm just roaring to go. When I'm not healthy, when I have an attack, I become unrecognizable.
Cuando estoy en crisis es como que se me va la vida y estar con los animales para mí es como una terapia, porque te olvidas de todo cuando estás con ellos. El irte a pasear con la yegua, con el perro, para mí es como una liberación y como olvidarme de todo y volver a inyectarme energía.
Há 10 anos eu corria intensamente, eu treinava intensamente. Essa corrida foi a última sensação de liberdade, de entrega, de você vencer os seus próprios medos num esporte intenso.
I just kind of used humor as my armor. I'll tell anybody, oh, I have porphyria. If you ask, you're gonna get the whole story, so just be warned.
In people with a genetic defect for AHP, one of the enzymes in the heme pathway doesn't work properly. Heme is essential to our body and is necessary for our liver to function properly. In the liver, the heme pathway is controlled by an enzyme called ALAS1. When ALAS1 activity is increased, the enzyme that doesn't work properly is unable to keep up. This results in the buildup of toxins which are released throughout the body and harmful to nerve cells, contributing to the painful symptoms and attacks associated with AHP.
I remember one point in the spring where I just began to get very, very sick. It seemed like from that point on, my life just totally changed.
My first symptoms were around 7th grade when I first started to have my period, which is pretty common for a lot of women that have porphyria. I had nausea, extreme abdominal pain, vomiting, dizziness. That was just kind of all attributed to adolescence or something else.
Eu fui campeã na ginástica, nos saltos, fui campeã, vice-campeã brasileira, fui campeã paulista. Tive uma lesão no joelho. Quando eu voltei da cirurgia, eu me sentia muito cansada. Eu tinha muita dor abdominal nesse período e a dor não ia embora. Era uma dor constante, uma dor muito ruim.
First attack, I didn't know I was having an attack. It was pain that I'd never experienced before, followed by nausea and vomiting. I went to the doctor, who thought I might have gallstones. A month later, I had my second attack, followed by monthly attacks for a good few months. I couldn't live a normal life. I was practically living in hospital.
AHP affects people of all races, ethnicities, genders, and ages, with approximately 80% of AHP cases seen in women between the ages of 15 and 45.
Acudo al médico, decían que era una infección de orina, me mandan medicación para eso y empiezo a empeorar. Conforme iba pasando el fin de semana, pues yo iba empeorando. Y estando ya hospitalizada, la cosa se complica porque estaba ya entrando en coma.
My mother took me to every doctor that she could get to listen to us. We just kept going and going and going, and you start to wonder yourself, well, maybe this is normal and everybody experiences it and I'm just weak. Maybe I am just like crazy.
Si je dois résumer ces 3 ans, brièvement, le premier mot qui me vient, c'est solitude. J'étais toute seule. J'étais incomprise.
Eu fiquei 1 ano sem sair de casa, a não ser quando alguém me levava. Foi um período muito difícil, porque eu ficava ali no meu mundo só. Então, na verdade, eu tive um sonho. E aí, quando eu vi que esse sonho tinha ido embora, eu falei, e agora, né? Aí eu tive que respirar e eu tive que reaprender a viver com a realidade que eu tinha.
Not everyone who has a genetic mutation for AHP will develop symptoms, and those who do have AHP symptoms can experience the disease in different ways. The most common symptom of AHP is severe, unexplained abdominal pain, which may be accompanied with nausea, vomiting, and constipation. Other notable symptoms that can occur during an AHP attack include rapid heart rate, dark or reddish urine, seizures, low blood sodium, and neuropathy, such as weakness or sensory loss. People with HCP or VP may also experience skin symptoms like blistering on sun-exposed skin.
When I think about the pain, it's very excruciating. It's just something that I wouldn't want anyone to go through. I know what it feels like to scream and cry in the emergency room.
When the symptoms start to come on, at first it's nausea, and then that pain starts to spread. It feels like your body is on fire.
Yo en mi caso suelo comenzar con dolor abdominal y son como unos latigazos muy fuertes. Si la crisis va a más, pues tienes como un pinzamiento en la zona lumbar y eso es como unos relámpagos que bajan hacia las piernas.
E você fica com essa explosão, como se fosse um vulcão em lavaredas, queimando o seu corpo inteiro. E você é capaz de cometer loucuras com essa dor.
Il y a eu des fêtes de Noël aussi où pendant que tout le monde ouvrait ses cadeaux, moi j'étais couchée dans une chambre, dans un lit, parce que j'avais trop mal. Mes enfants étaient petits à l'époque, ils ont vu leur mère souffrir et puis ils ne comprenaient pas ce que maman avait, à pleurer, à crier de douleur.
The pain is all-consuming. It's in your abdomen. It's like someone is holding, squeezing, stabbing. You're not able to function. You can't do anything. You just want to die. It is that bad.
Some people with AHP experience daily symptoms even when they are not having an attack, like nausea, fatigue, anxiety, and depression, as well as pain in their limbs, back, or chest. These symptoms are similar to many other common diseases, which is part of the reason diagnosing this rare condition can be so difficult.
I had a lot of procedures and I had a lot of surgeries. The doctors agreed that there was something wrong, but they just did not know what.
J'ai vu des gynécologues, j'ai vu des gastro-entérologues, j'ai vu des psychiatres, j'ai vu un ORL, j'ai vu des néphrologues, des urologues. J'ai vu tous les spécialistes de la sphère abdominale, absolument tous. Et chacun considérait son organe de spécialité, mais personne n'a jamais rassemblé tous les symptômes.
The doctor that I'd been seeing for the majority of my diagnosis process was done with this, like threw her hands up and was like, I've run every test that I can run on her. There's nothing wrong with her. I think it's in both of y'all's heads.
I was angry in the car going, Megan, you know that this isn't in your head and it's not in my head. You know you're not crazy and we're going to figure this out. We're going to get this fixed.
It can take up to 15 years for someone to be diagnosed with AHP. This can result in potentially unnecessary treatments, surgeries, and hospitalizations.
I think going to somebody new that had a fresh set of eyes to look at the big picture and a different perspective, that was it. I mean, that was the big moment.
Então dali para frente foi aprendizado do que como que eu ia lidar com isso, mas era fantasma. O que era porfiria?
J'arrivais pas à y croire. C'était pas possible que, enfin, quelqu'un ait trouvé vraiment ce que j'avais.
I was like, oh my gosh, we have a name for it. Where's my pill? Somebody give me a pill, fix me. But very quickly realized there wasn't a pill for me.
When I found out what my diagnosis was, I was really relieved. Because prior to that, doctors would say that I was depressed or I had a mental condition. It changed my life because I knew my diagnosis. But even though you're diagnosed, you're still living with the condition.
People who experience AHP symptoms suffer from anxiety and depression at higher rates than the general population and have a significantly higher suicide rate. In a study of people with recurrent AHP attacks, 63% reported a negative impact on relationships or social roles, and 84% reported an impaired ability to work. For me, one of the hardest parts of life with AHP is the extreme sense of guilt I feel for the days I can't work, for not catching up with my relatives, for my friends' milestones I'm not part of.
I was just suffering with so much pain and so much nausea that it was affecting my everyday life. It was affecting me as a father. It was affecting me in my careers. It was affecting me in any choices that I made in life. The light sensitivity that I have, the easiest way for me to explain it to individuals is just like Superman and kryptonite. When he's around kryptonite, the kryptonite begins to make him weak and sick. When I do go outside of the home, I have to put on a sun protective hat. Then I have to put on glasses that are UVA, UVB, or protected sunglasses. I used to live in a community where every time I went out, I was stopped by the police. At times I found myself sometimes being in the house for a month, not going out neither day or night. It would just depress me so bad.
E desde o início, eu já tive perdas que não voltaram. Então eu fui tendo que me adaptar com isso e entender o que eram essas perdas. A dor, eu fico muito triste, muito brava, porque ela me limita. E eu não quero ficar limitada.
J'enrage quand je suis en crise parce que j'ai vraiment l'impression à chaque fois de perdre X jours de ma vie.
Porphyria affected her in all ways because she couldn't be like every other kid. She went to college, dropped out of the first college because she was so ill. We're talking about long hospital stays, and there was no way to make up any work. That's pretty hard for a young person to go through.
There were times when I just felt so low that I didn't want to go on anymore. So I did end up in a behavioral hospital on suicide watch. At the time, I was very angry that I was there. It was just more people telling me I was crazy. And I do appreciate all of the coping skills that I learned while I was there because they have been useful.
Eu fiquei muitos meses em coma. Quando eu voltei, eu não era mais nada. Eu não tinha movimento nenhum, eu não falava. Me fez renascer e me fez aprender a cada dia, para aprender a respirar, para aprender a falar. Eu tive que aprender a comer.
Eu criei um tabuleiro com alfabeto, então eu ia passando o dedo e quando desce a letra para iniciar a frase, ela piscava. Aí eu ia montando uma frase. E teve uma frase que ela falou para desligar os aparelhos. Que ela não queria viver mais.
There was a point in my life where I wanted to commit suicide. Climbed in the tub, picked up the razor, but then I began to think about my children. And I'm so thankful for my children because at that point, that's the reason why I did not commit suicide. But I was just tired of the disease and tired of the way that I had to live my life.
La porfiria interrumpió en mi casa en general, pues de una forma como un elefante cuando pasa. Entonces fue un cambio total. Para mí, que era la que lo sufría, para mis padres que tenían que cuidarme y al mismo tiempo asumir que había una enfermedad rara en casa.
Verónica la heredó mía. Pues nosotros cuando nos enteremos qué enfermedad era esa, pues luego lo dimos cuenta hablando con familiares que la tenía. Mi padre la tenía, yo la tengo, mi hermano y primos míos también la tienen. Pero antes de saber eso, pues no sabíamos lo que era la enfermedad esa.
My sister, she also has the HCP. I think that's another reason that our bond has grown and become much tighter than we've ever been before.
6 members of our family that have porphyria, and each of them are different. Our sister right above, Nathan, she's never had any treatment, never had any crises. But my oldest daughter has symptoms as bad at times as Nathan.
Everybody's journey is different.
Il se trouve que cette maladie m'a été transmise par ma maman, qui n'a fait aucune crise, qui n'a jamais eu aucun symptôme de toute sa vie. Et on a cherché chez mes enfants, et mon fils, lui, est porteur. S'il communique sur son mal de ventre, moi, je ne peux pas m'empêcher d'avoir peur.
AHP is a genetic disease and can occur if a defective gene from one or both parents is inherited. In terms of my AHP diagnosis, I was very lucky in a sense because I knew the disease ran in my family. My grandmother was diagnosed with AHP in the 60s. She passed it on to my mum, who passed it on to me. It's important to discuss medical history within families because certain illnesses are genetic, which means there is a possibility of inheriting the disease.
It was a big learning curve, and we didn't have anybody to teach us because even the doctors knew very little about my condition. So a lot of it was just trial and error.
When I go to the hospital, I bring a binder, and it has all these notes. It has a sample of the tubing for the IV. It has a drug list. I ended up having a porphyria suitcase, I called it. We get this wheelchair and we're moving in, boy. The people will know, here they come.
I often feel like going into hospital, I'm actually educating the people that are taking care of me.
It's very important to have a healthcare team that listens to you. Mine consists of an oncologist, my primary doctor, I have a neurologist, I have a cardiologist, and they all work together.
It's such a rare disease. I mean, we want to educate other patients. We want to help with other people in the hospital. We've always said, hey, here's our name, our phone number. You have them call us if they want help, you know, because we feel like we're professionals now. If we'd had that kind of help, it would have been awesome to have somebody else's support that had porphyria.
In the United States and Europe, approximately 5,000 people experience one or more AHP attacks annually. In Brazil, approximately 2,000 people are living with AHP.
One thing that has strengthened me has been giving back, being an advocate for porphyria.
When I just think I can't endure anymore, I remember that my track record for getting through bad days is 100% so far. So that's been my kind of mantra lately. Made it through 100% of them so far. I can keep doing it. I got that from Nathan. He said he keeps it on a piece of paper on his bathroom mirror. And I was like, oh, that's a wonderful quote. And so now I keep it on a thing in my bathroom mirror.
O que eu mais admiro na Glauciene é essa vontade de viver que ela tem. É a vontade de evoluir, de produzir, de continuar vivendo, de buscar coisas melhores, de acreditar.
I had to learn that you just have to get up and you just have to keep going. And you have to rely on the support of your friends and your family and the ones that love you, that keep encouraging you.
Para encontrar el apoyo que necesitaba, yo empecé a buscar más información y empecé a conectar, o sea, a conocer otras personas que también tenían porfiria, que ellas realizaban su vida, sobre todo el acordarme de que en esos momentos he tenido a la gente que me quiere y que yo quiero apoyándome, y para mí eso es lo que me hace seguir adelante y me da fuerza para cuando estoy mal.
A minha história, ela serve também de motivação para alguns pacientes que se encontram no que eu vivi no passado. Ela traz uma segurança de que aquilo ele vai passar, ele vai superar. Você sente até assim, eu não sou o único. É raro, ela existe e eu não estou sozinho nessa luta e nessa jornada.
Quando eu descobri a natação, eu acho que eu ia poder realizar meu sonho. Em um ano eu fui recordista brasileira. Hoje eu tenho um sonho olímpico com a natação. E ele é palpável, ele é uma coisa que eu sinto que se eu trabalhar, eu consigo realizar.
For the first 6 months without hospitalization, I was always looking over my shoulder, waiting for porphyria to show up. And then when it reached a year, Jason and I decided, well, heck, let's go elope in Italy. Being able to share my experience with somebody who, for lack of a better word, is the newbie, and maybe help them suffer less in this journey, it makes everything that I've gone through worth it. That's been the biggest gain of time for me. I will leave the porphyria community in a better place than when I found it.
Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you might want to give up. Sometimes you might want to stop. But you just keep getting up day after day. You will survive.